Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving into a topic that so many of you have asked about: how to speak English easily. If you've ever felt stuck, shy, or just plain frustrated when trying to have a conversation in English, trust me, you are not alone. It's a common feeling, but the good news is, it's completely surmountable. In this video, I'm going to share some practical, effective, and maybe even fun strategies that will transform your speaking skills and boost your confidence. We're not talking about magic tricks or overnight fixes, vids. We're talking about real methods that work if you stick with them. So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's get started on this journey to fluent, confident English speaking. First things first, let's address the biggest hurdle for most learners: fear. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of being judged, the fear of not finding the right words. This fear can be paralyzing, but here's the secret. Every single person learning a new language makes mistakes. I make them, you make them, even advanced speakers make them. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are a sign of progress. They show that you're trying, you're pushing your boundaries, and you're learning. So, the first step to speaking easily is to change your mindset. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Laugh them off, correct them if you can, and move on. The person you're talking to is usually more interested in what you have to say, not how perfectly you say it. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. It's the most liberating thing you can do for your language learning. Now, for a very practical tip: think in English. This might sound difficult, but you can start small. What are you doing right now? Devote. Instead of thinking I'm watching a video in your native language, try to formulate that thought in English. When you're making coffee, think I'm pouring hot water into the cup. Now I'm adding milk. Narrate your daily life inside your head. This practice does two amazing things. First, it gets you used to forming English sentences spontaneously, without the extra step of translating. Translating in your head is slow, tiring, and often leads to unnatural-sounding sentences. Second, it helps you identify gaps in your vocabulary. VB. You don't know the word for kettle or colander? Great, now you can look it up. This simple habit, practiced consistently, will rewire your brain to operate in English mode more naturally, making speaking feel much less like a mental workout. Let's talk about input. You can't produce language you haven't been exposed to. To speak English easily, you need to surround yourself with it. This is what we call immersion. But you don't need to move to an English-speaking country to do it. Change the language on your phone and computer to English. Watch movies and TV shows in English. Start with subtitles in your own language, then switch to English subtitles, and eventually, try watching without any subtitles at all. Listen to English music and podcasts while you're commuting, cleaning, or working out. The key is to find content you genuinely enjoy. If you love cooking, watch English language cooking shows. If you're into gaming, follow English-speaking streamers. When you're interested in the topic, you're more motivated to understand, and you'll absorb vocabulary and sentence structures much more naturally. It stops feeling like studying and starts feeling like entertainment. Okay. So you've adjusted your mindset, you're thinking in English, and you're consuming tons of English content. What's next? You have to actually speak, and I know, this is the scary part. But we can make it less scary. Start with yourself. Yes, talk to yourself in English. It might feel silly at first, but it's a zero-pressure way to practice. Describe your day out loud, read a book or an article aloud, or even have a pretend conversation. This helps you practice pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation without any fear of judgment. You can record yourself on your phone and listen back. You'll be surprised at what you notice. Maybe you're pronouncing a certain sound incorrectly, or maybe your sentences flow better than you thought. This self-practice builds muscle memory for your mouth and confidence for your mind. It's like a rehearsal before the main performance. When you're ready to speak with others, find a safe and supportive environment. This could be a language exchange partner, an online tutor, or a conversation club. There are tons of apps and websites that connect language learners from all over the world. The great thing about talking to another learner or a patient tutor is that they understand the process. They know you'll make mistakes, and they won't judge you for it. The goal of these conversations isn't perfection, it's communication. Try to have short, regular conversations. Even 15 minutes a day is more effective than a 2-hour session once a week. Consistency is your best friend. In these conversations, focus on getting your message across. Don't obsess over every grammatical error. Use gestures. Rephrase your sentences. Ask how do you say. It's all part of the process. Now, let's get into some specific techniques for when you're in a conversation and you feel stuck. First, learn filler words and phrases. Native speakers use them all the time. Phrases like, well, let me see. That's an interesting question, or basically can give you a few precious seconds to gather your thoughts without awkward silence. They make your speech sound more natural and fluent. Second, don't be afraid to simplify. Suit. You don't need to use complex vocabulary or complicated grammar to communicate effectively. If you can't remember a fancy word, use a simpler one or describe it. Instead of exasperated, you can say very frustrated. Instead of I was ambivalent, you could say I had mixed feelings. Clear and simple is always better than complex and confusing. The goal is to be understood. Another powerful technique is shadowing. This is where you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say in real time, just a split second behind them. Tease, like being their shadow. You can do this with podcasts, audiobooks, or even scenes from movies. Shadowing is incredible for improving your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation, the music of the language. It forces your mouth to make the right shapes and helps you internalize the natural flow of English speech. You're not just learning words, you're learning how those words sound and feel when spoken by a native. Start with short clips and go slowly. It's challenging at first, but with practice, it becomes an amazing tool for sounding more natural. Let's talk about vocabulary. A common frustration is knowing a word but not being able to recall it in a conversation. To fix this, you need to learn vocabulary actively, not passively. Don't just memorize lists of words. Learn words in context. When you find a new word, look for example sentences. Better yet, create your own sentences using that word. Try to use sentences that are relevant to your own life. This creates a stronger connection in your brain. For example, if you learn the word efficient, don't just write down the definition. Write a sentence, like, I need to find a more efficient way to study for my exams. Say it out loud. Try to use that new word in a conversation with your language partner later that day. The more you actively use a word, the more likely it is to stick in your long-term memory and be available when you need it. Let's put it all together. Becoming a confident English speaker is a journey, not a destination. It's about building a system of good habits. First, embrace a positive mindset, where mistakes are welcome. Second, make thinking in English a daily habit, narrating your life inside your head. Third, immerse yourself in enjoyable English content, movies, music, podcasts to build your intuitive understanding of the language. Fourth, practice speaking, starting with yourself to build confidence, and then moving on to low-pressure conversations with language partners or tutors. Fifth, use techniques like filler words and simplification to keep conversations flowing. Sixth, practice shadowing to fine-tune your pronunciation and rhythm. And finally, learn vocabulary actively by using new words in context. Remember, the key is consistency. A little bit of practice every day is far more powerful than cramming once a week. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories like understanding a joke in a movie or having a 5-minute conversation without switching to your native language. These moments build momentum and motivation. Learning to speak English easily is not about having a special talent. It's about smart strategies and consistent effort. You have the ability to do this. I truly believe that. Thank you so much for watching today, too. I hope these tips were helpful and that you feel inspired to put them into practice. If you have any other questions or your own favorite tips for speaking English, please share them in the comments below. I love reading them and learning from you all. Don't forget to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe to the channel for more language learning content. Keep practicing, stay positive, and you'll be speaking English more easily and confidently before you know it. See you in the next video.